breakup. So anyway, I'll get started. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Um, Thank you for prioritizing yourself by joining today. I'm in the dating burnout support group on Facebook as well as on TikTok. So please excuse my focus as I move back and forth. I also have notes because I don't want to forget anything. Please interact live. Hi, thanks for joining. Please interact live if you're on Facebook or YouTube watching this later, as if you're live. Like even if you're watching replay, interact as if you're live, because it helps me know what resonates and what you want to hear about more, and it also helps you remember it too. So I want to ensure that everyone who's watching this has grabbed my free guide. I made it a long time ago. It's about healing after heartbreak. So it's just a mobile reference guide to help you move forward after a relationship ends. So the link to grab it's in my bio. And I also want to remind you, if you subscribe to my weekly newsletter, like that's the first place that I announce new guides I'm putting out, new podcasts I did, anything like that. So, and additionally, please don't worry about taking any notes. We're going to cover a lot of stuff today, but I will do a summary of all of this on my Substack, and I will share that in the newsletter this week to make sure that you get it. So, okay, so I'm going to say hi, I'm Caroline. Welcome, especially if you're new here. I'm a former white glove matchmaker turned certified NLP and life coach, and I specialize in helping daters manage burnout, because burnout is the part of the journey that makes people want to give up. And from working one on one with hundreds of daters over the years, I actually counted, I think it's well over 1,000. I've learned that having like the right tools to manage that kind of discouragement and burnout really makes a huge difference, because it keeps you aligned with your goals, and it also empowers you to like pull yourself out of those tough moments before they spiral, right? So I have some core beliefs, right? I don't believe in soulmates. It's not that I don't believe you can have a soulmate, and it's not that I don't believe that they exist. I don't believe that it is your job to find your soulmate in order to be happy. Instead, I believe there's an ideal relationship. So that would be a dynamic that works for you authentically, for who you are and what you want in life. So my work it's really about helping you stay on the path to creating the future you want by focusing on what is just really within your control. So I also want to take this time to acknowledge that there are a lot of things in this world going on right now that are really, really heavy, and it makes us feel really helpless. But some people don't see the point then in trying to find their ideal partner to look for love in these times. And I completely understand that viewpoint. Opting out really feels like a form of protest. And I understand that impulse very strongly. But I also want to offer up that you still only have this one life to live. I'm going to say this a lot today. And continuing to advance your own personal goals is another form of protest. So you're entitled to seek happiness in dark times, and it can help you cope. It can help you move forward. It can provide an anchor in times that are really chaotic. So um, yeah, that's my piece on that. In the Facebook group, we always try to keep things constructive and positive. We focus on solutions. So if you're ready to shift your perspective, you're in the right place. I call myself the dating burnout coach, but I have never ever had a client, whether coaching or matchmaking, who did not also deal with heartbreak. And it's totally common and normal to be grappling with heartbreak. And it's hard to figure out how to position your life moving forward when you go through that. So in my TikTok about the Blindside Breakup, literally hundreds of people shared their stories about how that happened to them. And a lot of people also shared stories about how they did that to someone and they feel bad about it. Um, and sadly, many of the people who it happened to decided like they never want to date again. They never want to risk going through that type of pain again. So they stopped dating altogether. And now, I totally support being single. If that is how your life works and that is how you feel happy and satisfied, I love that for you. And support that. I can't say that enough. But if you've always imagined your life with a partner who's loving and supportive and all the other things that you dream about, like, I want to help you however you can move forward. But by not moving forward, you're giving someone who was really careless with you way more power than they ever deserve in your life. So, you know the saying, the best revenge is a life well lived. So, let's do what's within our power to get that revenge, right? So, yes, today we're going to talk about breakups, specifically blindside breakups. And so, a blindside breakup is when only one person knew there were any doubts in the relationship. So, I want to first level set. I'm talking about relationships where there isn't like abuse or trauma or other things where someone feels unsafe, right? So, if you ever feel unsafe in a relationship, you don't owe anyone anything, get out of there. Your first priority is your safety. So, that's not the situation that we're talking about here. Um, Also, this to me, it doesn't include short relationships, right? So, if you're only dating like casually for like 3 months or less ish, um, as long as it's like a slow progression, like someone didn't like love bomb you and get you super invested early, you can just say, hey, I just want to talk about how things have been going. Like, I don't feel that this is really right for what I'm looking for. Thank you for your time. Like, I've really enjoyed getting to know you. Um, and then you can like share your feelings about like your own life without like pointing the finger at the other person, because that's not what it's about, right? So this can be done with kindness and not a laundry list of complaints, because the context is what it's about. It's right for you, right? So if you want to role play this conversation, you can book a call with me. If you're thinking about breaking up with someone, you're trying to figure out how to do it correctly, like how to do it well, you can book a call with me. We'll role play it. I'm happy to do that. Okay. So conversely, a blindside breakup usually happens when people are very committed, promises have been made, plans have been made, and there's little to no communication about any real problems. It's without warning. There's little to no discussion as to why. And the person who was blindsided is left reeling and they're questioning far more than the relationship, right? It's a trauma, it's selfish, and I want to welcome people who've done this to someone, because I'm glad you're here and listening and hopefully learning some better skills, right? You want to end a relationship honoring the time and investment somebody gave you. You know, it's a gift, right? Somebody's time is a gift. Again, we only have this one life. And if you're gifted some of that time that belongs to somebody else, you have a responsibility to treat the gift with care. You're not entitled to it, and neither of you will ever get that time back. So you need to treat it as precious. And I say this as someone who will totally like doom scroll for 90 minutes and like not even realize it, right? But like let's try to remember our time is precious, our life is precious, okay? So it's totally normal if this happens to you to feel shock, anger, all the normal things in the grief cycle. Um, but here is how it feels different from like a less traumatic, like a healthier breakup. It causes you to question everything in your life, right? So after all, like if you couldn't see this coming, what else are you wrong about in life, right? That's the real lasting harm here. So not only are you left not wanting to like trust other people, but you no longer trust yourself. You may blame yourself for like falling for their lies. Um, you question everything, and the pain is just so much worse because of this. And you may decide to never risk going through it again, which is understandable. It's understandable. So, and I shared on like subsequent TikToks, like this happened to me too. That's why I got so mad that someone would call me and talk to me about it like this, because it happened to me, and I was like, excuse me. um, but I'm going to tell you how I healed and moved forward, to find a wonderful partner and build a life with them, and how I've helped other clients move forward from this, so I do know that it works, right? And I promise to keep this, like, usually we're about 30 minutes, so I'll try to keep this about within that time period. Okay. So number one, you want to work on creating your own emotional safety. All right. So you're going to call a friend. You're going to lean on your support network. Make a plan to see a therapist if you can. When this happened to me, I didn't have many local friends. I'd really invested my time in him. And I didn't have a current therapist. So once I was done calling around crying and I found one who could see me soon, I decided that I needed to be my own best friend. So I told myself how much I love myself, how I was proud of myself. I literally wrote myself a letter. I'm my own best friend. Dear Caroline, I told myself I was proud of myself for being so vulnerable, for taking the risk to love someone so well. And then I made a lot of promises to myself about how I would not allow anyone else to determine how well I love moving forward. And that what someone else chose to do to me is about them and not me, right? So I've had a lot of coaching clients use this best friend letter technique, for all kinds of challenges, especially if you feel like you are not super supported in your near community. So the next thing you want to do is like stop the spiral of like, why didn't I see this coming? Listen, you're human. You're human. And you're allowed to trust people. You are allowed to believe people when they tell you they love you. And they probably did. They probably loved you as well as they could, right? As well as they were able. So imagine if you never trusted anyone again, if you never believed anyone again. What a terrible perspective to go through life with, right? It's really, really limiting. And you would miss out on so much in life. So that's why I wanted to tackle this topic, because letting what someone else did to you define your capacity to give and accept love forever it's a terrible waste. And I've talked often about how cynicism makes you sick. It also makes it harder for you to spot a liar. Cynicism is expecting things to go poorly, whereas being realistic is planning for all outcomes. Cynicism is expecting a poor outcome, right? So if you never trust again, you're like well on your way to not only like a kind of a lonely life, not a full life, but one of probably chronic illness. And this is science, not speculation. So the next thing, oh, my dog, he's all wily this morning. So next is to think about your mindset shift. Okay. So their choice does not define your worth, right? Their lack of relationship skills, communication skills, even awareness of their own emotions has nothing to do with you. What someone chose to do to you is on them. Okay. Yeah, you suffered for it, but your healing is not dependent on anything they choose to do or not do to attempt to repair the damage. So someone else's values of how they view other people and their responsibilities towards the people whose lives they touch are for them to carry, right? And some people view other people merely as tools for their own life experiences and lessons. And that's always going to be true. But you can get better at spotting someone who has that belief earlier. Um, and let me know if that's something you want to talk about in the future. There are definitely signs that you can look for early on to know that um, somebody only views people as a vehicle to their own experiences, right? Okay. So the next thing we want to talk about is how to process what happened without obsessing about it, right? So let's talk about how we analyze what happened without getting stuck on it. I know I often suggest journaling, and I know it's like, journaling again, but that's because it works. And I don't care if you type or write longhand. I know for some people it's easier to type, but if you can write out longhand, there's really good science about that writing pen to paper is just better for your brain processing. But remember, like, this is just for you. So don't censor it, just dump it all out. You can always like shred it or burn it later if you want to, right? So just don't worry, just dump it out, get it out. Now, when you're doing this, you want to really examine your physical state because heartbreak is part of your physical pain system. So just because you don't see an actual wound doesn't mean it's like all just in your head, right? Your body's experiencing symptoms of pain. And as you do the journaling, your mind will receive sensations you had during different types of the relationship. You know, the things that you're writing about are going to bring up feelings. So it'll recreate some of those sensations you had at different times of the relationship. Just like when you listen to a song and it brings up all these memories, and you suddenly, you know, you feel whatever age you were, or you were in that situation again. Um, so you want to start by tying those sensations to messages. So this is how you learn to get more in touch with your intuition going forward, right? Your intuition picks up on so much, but you only notice it if you are in the habit of listening. Okay? You need to listen and you need to honor the messages your body is sending you, and it strengthens your relationship with your intuition. It's a muscle. It will yell at you, and if you don't listen, it will stop and it'll just get a lot quieter. So you want it to be as strong as possible. And the only way to do that is to start listening. Okay? Because I'm going to be honest with you, it's unlikely that the person you were in a relationship was an Oscar worthy method actor, right? And you never, not once, had some twinges of doubt or anxiety before this blindside breakup happened. It's more likely you did and you waved them away because their words were what you were paying attention to. So, listening to your intuition is how you learn to rebuild trust within yourself, okay? Forgive yourself for ignoring signs, even if you're not sure what they were. And then start that active relationship with your subconscious. Thank you, Andrea. It will only help you in every area of your life. And it's not going to cause you any harm to be more in touch with your intuition and your subconscious. Your subconscious job is literally to protect you, right? You can train it to do all kinds of things, but you have to like strengthen that relationship. So some journaling prompts to think about, and again, like you can write these down, but I'll put this in Substack, and then I'll probably post this video on YouTube too later, so you can watch it back. Okay, so some journaling prompts could be: what lessons will I take forward? What did the first 3 to 4 months, like the early stages of our relationship, look like? What did I hear or experience that caused me to fall for this person? And how are those things aligned with my actual values and goals? And what will I do differently next time? I also have a totally separate training on values and things like that. So if anyone wants it, it's free, and I can send it over to you. You can just DM me or send me. I think I have like a form on TikTok that you can fill out. I can send it to you, or you can message me on my website. I'll send it to you. Okay. So the third major step is we're going to try to rebuild confidence. So we need to ensure that this breakup is just, it's not your whole story, right? It's a thing that happened to you. It left scars. You have your learnings. It's not your whole story. So the number of people who tell me that they like never moved on because this type of trauma, it is trauma. It's trauma. It's, again, it's really upsetting for me to hear, because you need to, your life is your life, right? I mean, like, somebody does that to you, they don't get to decide how you live your life going forward. They don't get to. I'm sorry, but they're not worthy of deciding how your life gets to look going forward, right? So you need to create an intentional action plan to heal and build your trust in people, and in some ways in the world in general, right? Because if you never trust again, you're not really living. And again, we just have one. We just have one life, right? So you have your lessons that you're going to take moving forward. You have the promises you make to yourself, right? So we're going to make a daily commitment of checking in on your body. So just look for small situations. Like, this is how you strengthen your intuition. You're going to look for small situations first, right? Low stakes stuff. So like, if you're walking and you think, I could cross at this crosswalk or the next crosswalk, and then just do a gut check. You don't even have to be right. Just do a gut check and see, little twinge, little tiny message, yes or no at this crosswalk, right? And then honor it. You don't need immediate proof that you're right. Like, you don't need like a car speeding through the crosswalk immediately after and you go, oh my gosh, like, very dramatically, my gut was correct, right? You just need to show your subconscious that if it sends you a message, you will do what is within your ability to honor it as best as you like can understand it. And it can even just be an acknowledgement in your head, because sometimes you can't do something right in that moment, right? And I often think about the situation of like being at a party, and say like, you got to be polite, there's a work party or something, and someone's talking to you and you're thinking, this is a bad person, I don't want to be around this person, I don't trust them. You're like, everything in your body's like, get away from this person, but like, you have to be polite. It's like a work party or whatever. You have to like be polite and then extract yourself. And so you can just like tell your body, I hear you. We're going to get away. Give me a minute and we'll get away. Right. So, it's a conversation, an active conversation initially, because you're trying to build your trust in your intuition and making sure your intuition trusts you, that it's not wasted effort. It's not wasted energy. So here's the other really important thing is, you're going to take that love you were so good at giving to somebody else, and you're going to rechannel it. Okay. And I often think of like this part of my brain that was always set aside for a relationship or a man or whatever. Like, they always, like, it was like a room reserved in my house for them. And if I think of it as like a guest room that I always kept empty and reserved, I turned that room into my craft room, right? Like, you have to earn space in my house. It is not held for you if you want to show up. So you take that guest room, which is in this case like your love, you're going to rechannel it to yourself, your friends, your family, your community. Because the more you draw inward, the harder it will be to ever open back up again. And love is how you heal. It is the way forward. There is not a limit to it. And how you love is not in a hierarchy, right? So romantic love, it's not the only love, it's not the best love, it's not the most important love or the only love or the highest love. And I would actually argue that intentional community building led with love has a more lasting impact on your life long term and to more people around you, and it creates a lot more stability, right? So I promise you, moving in and through life, leading with love will heal you faster than anything else. Anything else. Okay. So, like some things I did at the time because I had not invested in building a strong community and support network at the time that this happened to me, because it was like, I think it was like 9 months out of my divorce. And, I was still just like, I was a single mom and I was trying to rebuild my life. And um, when I met this man, and then I really like invested in him, and I hadn't made that many friends. So I think at the time I had like two local friends. We weren't super, super close at the time, but I leaned on them right away. And then I went and I invested a lot more time in my meetup groups for other single parents. And then I very intentionally went about like finding my people within those groups and making friends within those groups who I still have to this day. It's been, over 10 years. I still have them to this day. So the other thing I did was volunteer more, and it really changed the story. Right? So I was like, okay, here are the things I care about. And I put more energy into that. And I did that well. So I'm like rebuilding my community. I'm like trying to create stability as like someone who had to start her life over after divorce in an expensive city. I was also going back to school full time. Not full time. I was working full time, working part time, going back to school. I did all those things. And I was like, I am going to intentionally build community. And I did it in a way that, when you have friends that you grew up with and it's sort of almost like a thoughtless interaction because you've been friends for so long. But when you make friends as an adult, you really have to go at it a different way. And when you try to find friends who like really have stuff in common with you in the present, I really, as a mom, like other mom friends was like tough for me. Sometimes I really struggled with it, especially other school moms and stuff. That's kind of like, I hated that. But when you decide like, okay, here's someone who's really showing up, I want to show up for them, and you do it very intentionally, it is really healing. It's really healing. Like giving is healing. And leading with love will heal you. And I know it feels hard. You want to be inward. You can take your time, be inward, but you can't live there. It's not living. So um so another part of recreating your next chapter is to focus on finding yourself again. Okay, we all lose a bit of ourselves in a relationship, right? Like, because to spend time with someone and really invest in the relationship usually comes at a cost of something else, right? It's like a hobby or some other time you might have been spending another way. So, one of the ways I recommend people do this, and this is also a key like self love, self care thing, is think about the last time you felt very, very sure of who you are, um, and and think about what you were really focused on then. Right? What were your hobbies? Who were your friends? What did you love to do? What were you super into? And figure out how to bring some of that back into your life. I know, like, when I'm feeling a little lost, drawing is my grounding activity. And if I don't feel like I can do that, because some days I get too self critical, um, I will just like, I have like books of like fashion drawings and I'll just color, right? And I'll only think about like color and light and like how to make the fabric look dimensional. And I'll think about the hope I felt for my future when I was doing that every day. When I was like, I mean, my whole childhood, I did that, up until I was like 18, 17 or 18, I drew every day. And so I'll think about like, okay, I was 15. How was I feeling then about my future, about my capabilities? What was my confidence level like? So whatever that age was, like figure that out, see what you can bring back, right? And that's what you're going to put in your guest room that you've been setting aside for a relationship. You're going to put those activities into your guest room now. Your mental guest room. So you want to take that energy you're giving to the relationship and this other person, you're going to invest it in yourself. You're going to build out the fullest life you can. So the next time you meet someone who might be worth taking that risk to open up again, not only do you feel more safe and secure to take the risk, but you know exactly what your own stability and security looks like and how a secure and safe love should feel because you've been loving yourself so well. Now, you won't mistake less for the real thing because you've been living the real thing. Your intuition's going to be louder. Thank you. Your intuition's going to be louder. You'll feel safer to risk losing an attachment when you see signs that someone is not meeting you at your level of investment, because you know what your happiness and like life satisfaction really feels like. Okay. So if you're thinking about it that way, ask yourself, like, if you took these steps and it works, what does this open up for me moving forward? Right. So to close out here, a reflection prompt might be, what part of myself do I reclaim after this breakup? And then think about a small action step you can take now. Is it like blocking the person? Is it starting a new habit or a new activity, something you've always wanted to try? Or writing that letter, your best friend letter. Okay, so another quick reminder, I've got the Healing After Heartbreak link is in my bio. It's a free guide. Facebook folks, it's on my website. If you want the link, comment link, I'll get it to you. I do these lives every week on different topics. If there's stuff you want to hear about, please DM me or, send me a message about topics you want to talk about more. And a reminder, book a free consultation call with me. I've been building out custom programs for people lately because the variety of calls I'm getting it's just so wide that if I think actually we're a fit, I'll build out a custom program. So don't assume we can't figure something out that will work for you. If it makes sense for us to work on your transformation together. So my coaching programs, they're not ongoing. I don't do like you pay for the month, every month, or I don't do that. It's a method of enabling you with a permanent toolkit to manage all kinds of challenges and situations in life, and it's customized to you. So I also have payment plans. So again, if you're thinking of investing in your journey, whether it be after a relationship ends or finding yourself again or managing dating burnout or being on a self-love and rediscovery journey, I'd love to hear from you. If you're on TikTok, you can find the link in my bio to book a free call. You can just schedule it. It's like 15 minutes. It's your time to use as you want. If you're on Facebook, drop ready in the comments and I'll send you a link. Sometimes the call is all someone needs to move forward with some clarity, and that's pretty awesome. So, yeah. So, okay, Facebook, that's it for now. And I will see you next time. Thank you for staying on. Thank you for staying on. I really appreciate it. Do you have any questions? Are there any topics you want to hear about? next week. I always does this. It just made me really sad to have so many people say that they like never wanted to date again. That really bummed me out. I don't want people to feel like they can't move forward because someone was careless with them, with their heart, with their lives. You can move forward and you'll be stronger and smarter for it. But a life without risk is not a life. And anything worth having involves risk. And I know, listen, man, last Saturday, I've been going through a lot of burnout myself. Last Saturday, I was like, I'm just gonna be in bed, like, and I didn't stay in bed. I had to get up and hold my dog. He was drugged up from the vet, so I had to just hold him on my lap. But it was like a whole thing about me just going like, okay, I have to like take my own medicine here and just, manage my own burnout for once. But like I built out a whole e-course, and the e-course is based on everything I learned while I was matchmaking and very early date coaching, because it just became really, really clear that there are very common beliefs people have around dating and relationships that are actually, they're harming them on their journey, that are keeping them from their goals. So I went and built a whole program around that. So that's on my website too. It's self-directed, but when I work with people, it's like just super customized. It's like I just meet you where you are and we work on things together. And actually, I have two people who are very strongly self-described as avoidant attachers, which are usually people who also will do a blindside breakup on someone. And they're trying to get better. And it makes me feel like, okay, this is totally worth it, because they don't want to do this to someone. They don't want to do this to someone. So they're working with me in concert with their therapist. So they basically see their therapist every week, and they see me a few days later for accountability. And like, I know like if I go to my therapist, she's not always going to call me on stuff, and she's going to like let me sort of direct the time in a way that I don't always feel is like really helping me and like really moving me forward. It's like nice to have, but it doesn't, I don't know. There's a difference. And I have a coach too. And I have a coach for coaching, and we have, action plans. And that's what I do. So you get like an action. We have, action plans. And that's what I do. So you get like an action plan, you get exercises like assignments for the week. Sometimes they're journaling, sometimes they're other things. Sometimes they're just exploration, sometimes they're mantras for the week. Like, how do we incorporate this into your day to help you heal? It can be all kinds of things. And they're making progress. Unfortunately, a lot of people who are avoidant attachers don't even know they are, and they think it's totally fine and normal, and they're never going to actually seek help. So I always want to believe that if somebody really wants to change and get better, like they can. And I want to support that. So anyway, but Andrea, thank you so much for staying on. Is there anything else you want to hear about? I know I mentioned a little earlier, like, we could do a session about signs, and I can always just do this on TikTok too. Sometimes the Facebook lives are a little stressful. We could always talk about like early signs that somebody just views other people as like vehicles to their own experiences. And so you can like figure that out earlier, and how to avoid them, but how to cut loose faster. I do all kinds of topics. I've talked about like limiting beliefs, goal setting, questions to ask on dates. Usually like regular clients who are dealing with like the basic burnout. Oh, that's fine, Andrea. I totally understand. I'm always multitasking too. But I really appreciate you staying on. So I think I'll be able to get this video and I will put it on YouTube as well. And then I'm going to take the content from today and I will turn it into a Substack post. So that'll go out of my newsletter. Again, if you go to my newsletter and subscribe, the link is in my bio. You can subscribe to my newsletter. It goes out on Friday. Now, last Friday, I'm telling you, I had like a complete brain like meltdown. I was like so burnt out. So, so I did not, for the first time, like did not get my newsletter out on Friday, but generally it goes out on Friday. I round up all kinds of random dating news, and then resources, like anything I've been doing lately or have seen that I think might be helpful. And then, links out to anything. I semi-regularly will record podcasts with people. And so when those go live, sometimes like it takes a while before they go live, I will share those there as well. And I usually put them in my YouTube playlist. So you can find that there too. But if you want to talk about what's going on with you don't even have to know exactly what you want to talk about. I have my free consultation call. And like I said, sometimes that's enough. Like, I don't know, I've had people call and they're just like upset and it's not like exactly something I really feel like I'm going to be able to help with a program. And we just have a conversation and then they feel better. And then that's it. So I'm totally happy to do that. I understand that sometimes you just need someone objective in your life. I'm also really old. So I have a senior in high school. So I've seen a lot. I've lived a lot. I was married. I was divorced. I dated a lot. I dated while I was matchmaking. I stopped dating while I was matchmaking. And I was really like not looking at all when I met my partner 6.5 years ago. 6.5 years ago I met him. So that I've been through a lot of different relationship formats and when I got married, I got married 26, but I had first met him when I was 18 and he was 26. And so I have a lot to say about that too, because that's not okay. It's not okay. So that's kind of it. That's my live today. Thanks again for joining. Thank you to everyone who joined. And again, I'm going to put this on YouTube. I will summarize this on Substack. Go subscribe to my newsletter. Really, it's a good newsletter. Like it's not a lot of junk. It's I try to hit all the main topics. I try to find like the best kind of like stories and updates for everybody. If you want any of the free guides, link is in my bio. You can go to my website and see what I've got. I haven't written a free guide in a while, but I'm thinking about what the next one might be. But I have one about healing after heartbreak. I have one about managing dating burnout. The most popular one is about learning how to love yourself. And yeah, so that's the story. But anyway, I hope everyone has a good Wednesday. Again, subscribe to the newsletter. It's really the best way to stay in touch with stuff. Okay. All right. Take care. All right. Bye.